everyone. Thank you so much for joining another episode of Chat About AI. I have my old friend on, Shiva Jaini. We worked together at Yahoo, built some incredible products for recording your favorite shows on Uverse, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm happy to have him back to talk about his experience at Google, as well as the new company that he's building that's going to help employ AI with children and helping them learn and curiosity and creativity. Shiva, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us more about yourself and why you're here.
Yeah, great to connect again, Vicky. And I'm Shiva Jaini and been working on a company called Curiosity Labs. We are building an app called Curie, and we're focused on building a safe AI playground for kids. Currently, our focus is on K through 5 elementary school age group kids. And this AI playground offers AI friends designed to spark curiosity, creativity, conversations, and accelerate kids' learning.
That's incredible. I know you're targeting K to 5. My kids are a little older, but I've always encouraged them to be creative and curious. I did it with paints, painting
Yeah.
something, interacting with the world, going outside in nature. And of course, YouTube has become a big part of where my kids spend a lot of their time learning. And now you have another platform to complement that passive experience with that active learning experience. So tell me about that passive versus active learning experience. How does that encourage kids to participate?
Yeah, absolutely. Just for context, prior to starting Curiosity Labs, I had a long tenure at Google. And one of the projects I'm proud of was co founding YouTube Kids. And with YouTube Kids, I played a key role in getting the product off the ground. And at the time, YouTube didn't have standalone products outside of the main YouTube app. But we saw this opportunity to build a standalone product focused on kids and build this great kid first experience. And personally worked to get the leadership buy in to invest in it. Now, learned a ton over the course of 4 years working on YouTube Kids and interacted with hundreds of families during this time. One of the main themes of feedback that I would hear from parents is, hey, YouTube Kids is great, gives me peace of mind to leave my child with the app. And we have this one concern about the quality of screen time. Often what we would see is kids are just watching content in a very passive manner, and it's affecting their attention spans, focus, etc. So now that I have 2 kids myself, I've seen like this issue firsthand, and I wanted to see what could we do about it. And as a parent, the realization I came to is eliminating screen time is really hard, but we can transform the way it's spent, right? Like, how can we make it from completely passive, mindless screen time to active learning and active play based experiences? So that's where this idea of building out Curious Labs and Curie came about. And I think you correctly pointed out, right? It needs to be a good balance where passive screen time is helpful just to relax and release stress and just have fun. But at the same time, too much of it is harmful, right? And there are scientific studies and educators complaining about the impacts of screen time, etc. So now, given there's so much choice for kids, how do we steer them to something that is fun and equally positive in terms of growing their skills or learning, right? So that it's a hard task, but that's also an opportunity that I saw. And what we're working on is um, building a product that bridges the gap between fun and learning outcomes.
I love that. Fun and learning outcomes. Every parent's dream, right? You always want to feel like you're doing the best you can for your kids, giving them every opportunity out there.
Yeah.
Maybe some that you didn't have yourself. In this case, AI is a new thing. We didn't have as much interaction with artificial intelligence when we were growing up, just because some of us didn't even really have computers. So
Yeah.
we've gone through this whole evolution. Now our kids have this incredible opportunities. And so tell me about AI. How does artificial intelligence help kids learn and have that curiosity and encourage them?
Yeah, I think if we think about just the last 2 years, right, it's changing. AI is changing, like how we all as adults and grown-ups access information and like how we make sense of the world, understand like how things work, etc. It's making it like much more natural, conversational, right? It reduces the barriers in many ways and saves you time, right? It's doing research on your behalf in some ways. And with children, like the opportunity we see is to build on all these advances and build tools that empower kids to do things that couldn't be done before. And kids are, if you think about kid first experiences, these experiences need to be multimodal, right? They learn a ton with visuals and visual aids. So we are making AI experiences that are multimodal in nature. And so with that, we can learn new concepts much more easily and more digestible manner. It's also fun if you can blend in images, videos, etc., along with text. And if you think about ChatGPT, it's not necessarily designed with kids in mind, right? It's a text and chat based interface. So we're reimagining all of that. And so with these AI characters that kids build a relationship with, they can just naturally talk to these characters, and these characters take the kids on these fun adventures, right? Whether it is learning about new topics, questions that kids come up with. Hey, it could be about building stories or testing their skills and knowledge and having game like experiences. One interesting thing is, let's imagine the kid is curious about a topic. What's the difference between squids and octopus? We have the opportunity to allow them to go on unlimited journeys and pathways wherever their curiosity takes them. And that's super powerful as kids are trying to figure out what their interests are. With most kids apps, what we have seen so far is uh, curated experiences with a limited corpus of content. But the opportunity we see is if you have enough safeguards in place, but at the same time, you make it open and exploratory, you just open up the doors for these journeys that you can't imagine, right? I think there is so much power to just letting kids figure out what it is that interests them and go as deep as they want with those. With a lot of educational products or ed tech products, people talk about help kids like learn at their own pace. I think it hasn't been possible for a long time, but now it's very real, where we can meet kids at the right level where they are at and guide them to advance further and further in the areas of interest that they care about and they're interested in.
And I love that because I remember my own kids when they're small, they always ask why, right? And then you tell them, and then they ask why. And it's like the five whys. And I don't know why. It's just because. So now you have this opportunity with your beautiful app. The questions can like, why is octopus different than squid? Because octopus is this way, and squid, why is that? So they have a way to go very deep on that because now that curiosity versus parents making up the answer. Why is the sky blue? Why
Yeah.
does an octopus fly? They can continue to ask those questions of why, giving them
Yeah.
more information, probably more accurate information than some of us parents know about, right?
Yeah, just as an example, yesterday my daughter was clipping her nails and she had this question, Dad, why doesn't it hurt when I'm cutting my nails? Okay, I could make something up.
Right.
But let's ask Curie. And Curie helped explain. What was fascinating to see was uh, it not just answered that question, but what followed on. Then my daughter looked at related questions and she learned about nail beds, like nail matrix, where the nails grow from, the nerve cells. It's just fascinating to see how like a 5-minute interaction helped her learn new stuff and me as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think like pretty fascinating, the world in which the kids are growing up in. And the beauty is all of this is accessible and affordable, irrespective of what background or demographic, etc. I think it's about reaching the people and getting them to try the product and see the potential. I think like there is a lot of work to be done on almost make discovery of this capabilities very easy because there's so much potential.
There is so much potential. But what I love about this, you mentioned curiosity and creativity, which I completely can see. But the other thing I think your tool develops is critical thinking, right? Because to me,
Yes,
forming the right question is just as
absolutely.
important as the answer. So what you're teaching your daughter is not, ask the question. How would you ask the questions about the nails? What is the right way? And she gets that response. She's, that's not really what I was looking for. I actually wanted to know more about the nerve cells and why doesn't it hurt? Why does it hurt more as I cut deeper into the nail? And
Right.
so she starts that critical thinking process, that journey of getting her, oh, because they're nerve cells and it hurts more when you cut there versus cutting kind of the tip of the nail. So
It's usually.
that's what I love about it, because to me, that's the skill that we're going to need more of. The answers are going to be easier and easier to find. It's the
Yes.
question from
Yes.
the hard part, right?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. And yeah, I heard the saying, right? Wisdom comes from knowing like how little we know. And it grows by like asking more and better questions. So I think that's the type of skills like, that we need to instill in our kids as they grow up, really make them stay curious and creative, right? And I always reflect on this, like our parents' generation, like they had to learn one skill throughout their career, right? In our case, we're still having to adapt quite a bit. But if you think about our kids and the further generations to follow, I think the need for adaptability is going to continue to increase, right? You got to be curious. You got to be able to recall new things much more quickly than ever before. So I think, yeah, these are things that we need our schooling system to prioritize as well, more
Yeah,
than
because our
like
schooling system doesn't do that, right? It's
yeah,
still based the 1800s curriculum that
yeah,
have math and science and English or whatever the language is. And it's been taught the same way, which makes you comfortable because, oh, I remember covering this in third grade. We still need to know the multiplication tables. That's good. But then you look at AI and you're like, do they need to know the multiplication table? Because maybe they just need to ask the right questions like, how do I get a third of the pizza? What does that look like? How do you feel? How do you think learning will evolve? Obviously, we know where we are. We don't
yeah,
really know how the quickly things change, right? We've seen them change quickly, but we don't know exactly what's coming in 5 years.
right.
How did you see that evolving from a learning perspective? Um, and how do you adjust for that?
I think when I think about the school system, there are lots of companies exploring what could be done to help the teachers who are really strained. And companies like us, we are focused on building empowering tools for the kids first and foremost. And so, yeah, there's just like a lot of, I think, changes happening, but not at a systemic level. We are like doing what we can to help the status quo and work around it. And I think there is an opportunity to fundamentally rethink schooling and the curriculum and all of that in this world, especially how fast it's evolving. But it's, I think, a topic for a much deeper conversation.
Oh, for sure. No, it's a hard topic to honestly, it's hard to answer because just AI in the last couple years has completely transformed. To your point around multimodal earlier, it went from just text only to now we
Yeah.
can speak to it. We can actually write programs with it. We can create images or art with it, right?
Yes.
Videos can be created in seconds. Even this video cast that we're doing now, right? Like in the past, I would probably have to have three people helping me edit it, prepare. It
Yeah.
would be a whole rollout thing. But now I have AI and it helps me edit. It's all text
Right.
editing. It's easy. So my time and my ability to do this kind of thing has just exploded because I can just do it all by myself in a shorter time than I could with a team of people.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
how do we, I think your software, Curie, gets you into that, hey, try this out. What do you think? It's that because you don't know which tool works. And the
Yeah.
tools are changing all the time. So
Yeah.
now we're working at a much more abstract level. It's no, it's not just, I don't need to teach you how to use a hammer because the hammer will be used by the machine. What I do need you to know is how that machine will tell the hammer what to do so you can build something, which is a very different question, right? Than we used
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it opens I think opportunities and like doors to enhance both learning, but then also these soft skills, I would call collaboration. If you think about AI as a partner that you're working with, how do you best leverage it and how do you best use it to accomplish something meaningful, right?
Mhm.
It could be a creative endeavor that the kid wants to go on, or it could be a learning adventure. How do we teach the kids how best to use these tools? When ChatGPT came out, everyone was concerned about plagiarism and kids cheating on essays and so on. Instead of necessarily worrying about the short-term consequences, I think we should also think about as a society, what are the broader implications and how should we help the kids adapt and use these tools the right way? Where the things that we talked about, adaptability, curiosity, creativity, like those are promoted and encouraged, and we see meaningful like impact on those fronts. And I think like once those are happening, it's also going to help with measuring like learning outcomes and so on. And
Huge. And you can do it in the person's language. I was talking to a lady who helps with UNICEF in underprivileged communities.
right,
And a lot of girls, for example, don't have access to any education. So she's, you know what it allow you to do is like now they can, because they're curious, you're not telling them what's important, right? Because a lot of
yeah,
educations, here's what you need to learn, but you're meeting them where they're at. Oh, they know how to interact with their world. Their world is different than you can ever imagine. So how
yes,
can we build something based on what they know that makes them comfortable, explore that world through their
right,
own means, through their own language,
yeah,
without having that pressure of no, you need to know English and you need to count to 10 and you need to be able to, they can now, from my village, how many steps is that going to take? What is the shortest? There's questions
right,
she will ask that will be very different than my child will ask or
yeah,
yours, right?
yeah,
Because she's
yeah,
dealing with a different system. And
yeah,
so that's what I'm excited about, honestly, with education and software like yours.
yeah,
It's we're very lucky. Our children have access to a lot of tools and education and they speak English. Probably 80% of that content from GPT is English speaking content. But
yeah,
now we have a way of exploring that in a very different way. And
yeah,
now you're not competing, just our kids won't compete with people next door to them. They're
yeah,
competing with the global economy and
right,
they're
right,
competing within a very different cultural context. And
right,
so, how do they use that AI to help them explore those contexts to bridge those gaps, whatever those gaps might be in communication or background, to really build
absolutely,
something even more powerful?
absolutely, yeah. And I think, yeah, so the last 2 years, if you think about a lot of innovation that happened in the foundational layer, like perspective with a lot of competing models, etc. What I'm excited about is now like the next phase of that, which is application layer innovation
Yeah.
and vertical specific applications of like these AI tools. And yeah, it's just so much opportunity because I think we know uh, now the potential of all of these, right? How do we channel that so that it unlocks meaningful impact and difference for specific demographics and problems? I think it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and that's what I'm honestly excited about Curie, right? Because people in foreign countries, they have access to mobile phones. That's
Yes.
probably they're more likely to have a phone than they
Yes.
are to have a laptop or a tablet, for example. So by
Right.
having an app in the app store, you're really providing them with a way to have access globally that
Yes.
maybe you wouldn't have gotten in a different way.
Yes. Yes. And that was a conscious decision on when we started to tackle the passive screen time issue. We were exploring, should we have a screenless experience? And does it mean like people have to buy new hardware? I made a conscious decision. Let's meet where people are. They're already using their phones and tablets and stuff like that. Let's transform the passive screen time and build solutions where we can reach every corner of the world. That's something I think we are very early in the process, but excited to see how different markets adapt. the product and benefit from it.
I think it's such an incredible vision and mission. And I know you'll continue to iterate on it. Whatever it's going to become, it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the best experience ever because I know your interaction design skills are far too hard to match. So I'm
I
excited about
appreciate it.
you working on this problem because our children are our future. We want to enable them to be curious and creative and think through and ask the right questions. And by you training them to do that, you're providing an avenue of whatever might come, they will adjust for it because now they're going to know how to ask questions. And that's probably the best skill you could teach someone, right?
Yep. Yeah. Relentless questioning.
Why? And kids, I hope you know how to do that. It's just we kill it along the way with all our
Right.
structure and learning. And we're like, no, don't ask why. Just accept this. And this is our curriculum and go study this. No more
Right.
why. We don't know the answer, but now we know why. We have access to incredible information. Now they have to teach them how to ask all those curious questions and
Right. Right.
take themselves on that journey and research it. And I don't know. And I think even for adults, right? I always think about myself. I'm a kid at heart because I'm always curious. And I use Claude and I talk to Claude, which is the Anthropic model, all the time. Like it's
Yeah.
my assistant. And I'm, Claude, tell me what I should be doing for this. What are the top things? And it's, I don't know if I like your answer. Can you give me more information? Give them examples. Okay, this is a little better. Let's think through this together. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I'm like iterating on my curiosity. And that's what you're encouraging the children to do. Just iteration and I just found that I was on LinkedIn. I found out that the founder of Claude is actually one of the co-founders is an English major. And being people in tech, we always used to make fun of English majors, like English major, like what do they know about technology? But I was thinking, like, how brilliant is that? Because I love to use Claude for writing all my blog posts. And
Yeah.
now I can see why it's so good at writing stuff because it has a co-founder who is an English major and
Right.
it provides incredible content. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we need those skills for sure.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, the blend of engineering or technology, liberal arts, that's where magic happens. At least that's my
Yeah.
perspective.
And you need that because that's the curiosity. I don't see the world. What do you mean you see it this way? So you start going down in that direction and you discover a completely new way. And I think that's
Right.
what Curie does, right? It's lets the children explore that, hey, it's not strange you're asking that question. Let's ask again. Let's see if we can get more examples of this. So they
Right.
feel
Right.
comfortable asking questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited about this. How do we find Curie? How do we download it? Where do we find you? Do you want people to reach out to you? How do you feel
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. So we are on iOS App Store as of right now in the public beta. We
Mhm.
have the Android version in works, not quite, but you can join the waitlist on our
Website.
curiositylabs.ai.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
check it
and
out.
you can download the app from iOS App Store. So yeah, if parents of kids in elementary school are listening, definitely recommend checking it out and give us feedback. Constantly iterating and trying to make the experience better. Love to hear from parents, educators that try our app.
Yeah, I'm excited. CuriosityLabs.ai, guys, and download that. Try it out. Let your kids try it out. Give them a heads up. I think it's going to be really amazing. I can't wait to see it and play around with it. Please reach out. Maybe we'll have you back on and you can tell us about the millions of children around the world that are using the app and the great things that they're inventing. Because I know that children can invent incredible things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fascinating. We have these stories that kids can create and like share on the platform. And it's amazing to see kids' imagination and things that they stitch up in terms of story narratives. And like that's another powerful thing that we are unlocking, which is connecting kids around the world to share stories of each other's, right? Reducing the barrier to create and tell their stories. And then like once they're happy with their story, they can share it with kids around the world. It's a great platform to discover content that is inspiring and coming from kids around the world.
That's incredible. And this is how humans learn. We learn by sharing our stories, right? So if we know each other's stories, we can be more compassionate and empathetic. And that's another thing we always have to grow in our kids is their kindness towards others,
Yes,
right? So
absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm going to check it out. My kids are older, but I'm going to give it to my niece and nephew who are just the perfect demographic, second and fifth grade. So I'm going
Awesome.
to make sure that they use it. My niece loves to write stories. So this might be the perfect platform for her.
Amazing. Yeah. Can't wait to see what she comes up with. Amazing, Vicky. It was like, yeah, fun chatting about all these topics and take a step
Yeah,
back
you're
from the
doing
day to day.
something amazing. I knew you always would. And I was just like, I have to learn more about this. Curie is going to change the world for our kids, which is most important. So thank you for being on this journey. And thank you for making this time to record with us today. This was awesome.
Thanks, Vicky.
No?